Hello and welcome back to my memory book project, which is a collaboration with Craft, where I've got these lovely Amazonia Stamperia papers. So I got a pad of 12 by 12 from them. So everything I've made for this memory box is going to come from that one pad. So we've made quite a few wallets now. We've built our box. So let's have something a little bit different again. So here I've got a wallet, and it looks like all the others I've done, just with a flap. And this is a good one if you've got a nice image to use in there. But what's different here is we've got a flap on the bottom as well. So what happens then is these slide out. So this was an idea I saw with Tamara Morton. And Tamara made her album pages like this. So she made these into the album page. So I asked her if it would be okay if I made these into a wallet, and she kindly agreed. So thank you, Tamara, for that. So what happens is you open it up and this top one slides out, and you've got a room for a 4x4 photo. So great if you've got an Instagram account and you want to print off some of the photos from there because they're square shapes. Or of course you could put a 6x4 photo there, but I think I wanted to use some of my papers because what we've got on the back is a 6x4 mat as well. But what happens is, as soon as you release that, the bottom one, so we've actually got two of these mats. And then they slide back in. They just slide nicely over each other and they just tie each other close like that. And then we've got another photo mat on the back. So let's get going. Let's grab some black cardstock. And we're going to cut the first one, which will make our wraparound bit. So let's grab our trimmer. Oh, I was going to use the parrot paper, which is left over from that snake one I did earlier. So that's the paper I've chosen this time. So here I'm going to cut at 6.5. Again, you've heard that a lot in this project because that's how I've made it to fit all our photos. So 6.5 by 9 3/4. There we go. And then we need our 2 bits sliding, and they are going to be 8.25, which is the width of my A4 anyway, by 4.5. So a 4.5 and a 4.5. So that's all our black pieces done. So let's grab our scoreboard. Grab our scoring tool. So we're going to put it with our 9 3/4 across the top. And I'm scoring at 4.5. Again, that's to make it the same size as all the other wallets we've got. And then we've got an 1/8. So I'm going to add an extra 1/8 onto that. Okay. So it's just 4.5 and then the next one over. And then I find it easier to flip it around and go to half. So that's going to make my flap for joining, and the next 1/8. And then that has given me my 4.5 in between as well. Okay, so we've got 2 really small channels. So if you could see them. There and there. And then we're going to do our sliding out flap bits, don't know what we'd call them, and we're going to score it at 6.5. So that will give us a 1 3/4 flap there. So 6.5. So you can see throughout all this, I've kept those measurements of 6.5 and 4.5 so everything is of the same sort of size, so they stack into our memory box nicely. Okay, so I've got my Teflon tool here, which is great because it's not going to mark my cardstock. And we've got these two lines which are quite close together, so I'm going to grab my metal ruler as well. Because when you've got two score lines close together, it can be quite tricky to then score the second one. So what I do is I place my ruler onto that second one and bring it up to it. So what I'm doing is holding that first score line down, and that'll just help us, and then you can just tease it back. So that'll give us that 1/8 bit there. So we need this 1/8 depth because we're sliding both of the others in. See, I couldn't do it, so I'm going to bring this in. You could see what was happening when I hadn't used my ruler. It was just starting to fold everywhere. So there we are. So what we've done is created a wallet with just a little bit of depth to it. And then the other two are just scored just like regular flaps. But with this, as usual, it's just an optional extra. But if you've got your corner rounders, use your large one here. And then we'll use our medium one, just down one size on our papers, and it'll give us a nice matte and layer. Okay. So two flaps and the wallet. Just grab our tape. Now I need to be a bit careful here because when we come to stick it together, we're not sticking it flat. So I'm going to put my tape on. Then I'm just going to miter to that first score line. So we've got the two score lines. We're just going from that first one. And as I said, when we bring this together, I'm going to just bring my tape out from my wallet. I'm going to line up this side. And then just touch this side when I'm happy. So you've got to do this a bit different to how you'd normally do it because we're making a deep wallet. There we are. And that then just allows the space to slide in. Now if it is a bit tight, what I'd suggest is just trim off a tiny bit off the sides. Mine seem to go in okay. There we are. So now it's time to just decorate. So again, just like I did with my snake one, what I'm going to do is use some photo mats to save my paper. So my photo mats, if I want one for 6x4 photo, I've cut it at 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And if I want a 4x4 photo, it's just a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square. And that's all I've done then. Just to add a bit of interest, is just doodled around the edge, just lines. And when I find I'm struggling, I stop and do a dot or do 3 dots. You could do a dash, whatever you want. It's your doodle. I used to do this a lot on my cards years and years ago, but I think it goes really nice with photo mats. So I've done a 3 for a while, so let's do 3. Let's do a short dot and dash and long. I'm just going to leave it dry. So if I start with my photo wallet one, I'm going to put a large one on the back. So that just gives us an extra photo space. So be careful when you place it down that you're not squashing. So I'm not pressing down, I'm just gently putting it in place. There we are. So that's our back done for that. Now on the back of my flaps I put some big ones again. So make sure you get the corners here, because these are the ones that are going to slide in and out. So if it's loose, it is going to catch. So these are flat, so I can burnish it down. And the second one. So move it out of the way just because I don't like the black on black, because then you can't see what you're doing. And then let's turn them over. And so I'm going to have decorative paper there. So I'm going to have my photo mat in the middle. And then I'll have decorative paper on the bottom then, just to break it up. So my score line is there, so I'm just coming down a little bit. So I've got a black border, lining it up. Of course, if you wanted more 6x4 photo spaces, just put that one of them in the middle. I just wanted a little bit more of the paper. Because you're going to have the paper there anyway. Okay, so that's all our photo mats done. So let's bring back our paper. So as I said, I'm going to use what I had left over from the last one, which was that snake one. You see it all starts off nice and tidy. So our photo mats, so our photo wallets are 4.5 wide. So I'm going to go down to 4.25. And I've got a nice bit of that parrot going on there. So now I'm going to start thinking about how this is going to look. Do I want my parrot there? Or do I want him hidden, and then when you open it up, I think I'm definitely going to take one off the top. So our flap is 1 3/4, so I'm going to cut 1.5. So I'm definitely going to do that. So that's going to go onto there, or maybe onto the bottom one. Can I get another 1.5? Am I going to ruin my parrot by doing that? I think I am. So what I'm going to do is just, let's have a look. How far down? So again, this is personal preference now, but I want to keep that parrot maybe showing. Yeah, so I'm going to keep him. That should actually fit fine. Yep. So 6.25 inches it is. So that'll go there now. That'll go onto the flap that goes in there. So we need one then for the bottom one. Now it's the same size, so what do I say? 1.5. So let's use this tribally bit one this time, is it? Am I going to get in? Let's cut a little bit off it first. 1.5. So that's going to go there. Okay, so let's start gluing these on. So you've got to think here now about which way it's going to go. So if this is my top one, this is going to be my bottom one. So So they're going to be the opposite way around. So let's get my runes the right way. I think they're called runes, the tribal symbols. Just need a little bit more ink. So let's glue this one onto the top of this flap. And then this one onto our pouch. And then this one, I'm going to corner the top because it's going to go on the bottom flap. There we go. So that's the front all done. So these bits will be hidden inside now. So they're going to be 4 1/4 wide. I know that because I've been working on those measurements so much. So the gap is 2. So I'm going to go down just a little bit. So 1 7/8. So I haven't got, I don't think, much. Oh, I've got enough to do 1 with this. So I think this is just a bit too short. Yeah. So let's get this down to 1 7/8. But what I have got is plenty of scrap bits left over from my other bits. So I'm just going to go through and have a look what I've got. And I'll cut a piece from them. So this was what was left over from the parrot strip. So that can go there. So again, just sticking that down. Burnish it. So I've got some of my scrap pieces here. That would look quite nice and tied in. So let's go for that one. That was an easy one. I think it was the first paper I picked up by 4 1/4. Just to see, I did have all the scraps left over here, and it literally was the first one I picked up. So where have I not got one here? Okay. So that ties in nicely with this paper, actually brings in the leaves and everything. So I've just got the 2 flaps, which are going to be the same as the front, which was 1 1/2. So I think I could actually use that scrap bit I had left over here. Let's have a look. Is it 1 1/2? Yes, it is. So let's just trim it down. And we'll use this bit here, so 4 1/4. Let's use that bit, there's a bit more interest on that side. 4 1/4. So again, the medium corner punch. Let's check. Yes, it does fit on. And the other one. So I think if you have got a directional paper, make sure you check which side you're punching, because we are talking about two different orientations, so don't do them both the same. Oh, I quite like that one. Should I go for that one? Yeah, let's do it. I'll have to just ink this side now. Do you ever do that? Just change your mind just as you're about to glue it down? Okay. And that's worked well because it's bringing out the colours from the bottom as well then. So that was total accidental. And that's what's great about these papers. I think it's all designed to work together. So, and that's our two sliding pouches completed. So now we just need a way of tying them together. So again, I'm going to do the brad closures like I have done before, which will just utilise your circle punches. So you could just punch out some circles. So I've got some more circles, yeah. But the ones I've got here were actually cut from a Cool Cats die, which come with the envelope, a policy envelope die. And what they've got is a little circle cut directly in the middle ready for you. So that's good because I'm quite bad at lining them up. So we need 6 of those ones, and then just 2 deck papers because you get a die to cut a layer in the Cool Cats die. So it's worth buying the policy envelope one just for this. But I'm hoping Maggie and Kay, who run Cool Cats, will bring out some larger ones of these ones on their own, because they are just fantastic and make your closures so much easier without having to work out where to do the centre. And then my bottom one, I didn't want this a centre cut out or a hole in the middle, so I just used my circle punches and some circle dies to cut them. Okay. So what's great about these brad closure ones is you can add them after you've done everything. If you were using magnets and things, you've got to think about where to place them underneath and things, but these make it so much easier. What I'm going to do is, just for strength, I'm going to glue 2 of my black circles together and glue a patterns paper one on top. Just make sure I've got a hole in the middle. There we are. And do another one. So that's my double done. And the paper. So I've got some small tiny brads. I'm just going to flatten. When you get your brads, do you find you get like that sort of a V shape, which means it doesn't lie flat? So what I do is sometimes I press them down, or once I've put it through here, I just squash it down onto my, so that just flattens out, so you get a nice flatter edge against your paper. So I've got it through the double, then I'm just going to put a single one on the back, not too tight, but I'm just opening up the legs, and do the same with this one. So just going through that double one, I think I've squeezed that a bit too much. Let me grab another one. So through the double, squeeze it flat, and a single one onto the back. A little bit of double-sided tape. Onto the back. Now the double-sided tape will just keep it in place for now. And before I put it down, what I'm going to do is just take my Teflon tool, your bone folder, and I'm just going to create a space between that double and the single. And then take off the tape. I'm going to take my glue just so I get it to the edge, because the tape doesn't go to the edge. Let's bring back that flap. And I'm measuring across, it's 4.5 across, so 2.25 would be the midpoint. So I'm making sure the circle is just touching that midpoint. And again, I'm getting my Teflon tool between those layers, so I'm just creating that space and also pressing it down onto the flap. I'm going to do the same with the second one. Get some glue onto it. Bring in my ruler, so I'm measuring, finding that 2.25. That's where I want the top of my circle to go, and create that space between that single and the double, and pressing it onto my wallet at the same time. So whilst that's just having a second to dry, I'm just going to put some decorative paper onto my punch circles. So these are what's going to go on the end of my thread, which holds it all together. So that's just giving that a chance to dry as well. I'm going to do some tape on the back as well, just so it holds that ribbon in place so it doesn't slide off while we're waiting for the glue to dry. Just a little bit of my tape. So the tape I'm using, also the cord I'm using, is a 1mm wax thread. Just got it from Amazon. If you just type 1mm waxed thread, it should come up, and I've got in a bunch of colours as well. So I've got some cream, some red, a brown, and black. Oh no, white I think I've got. Right, so I've just done 2 knots on there, and I'm just getting rid of the excess. So I want it to come down, and I want it to go back up. Oh, that one hadn't had time to dry. I know you leave it for a bit longer to dry with you. And just a bit of excess to come off. So I'm going to take it off there because I don't want it pulling yet until that's dry. There we are. So we're not tying it on the bottom one, just on the top one. I'm just going to place my thread there, get the glue, because the glue will spread to the edge then, and just give it a good squeeze around the edge just to seal it in place. Did I take off? That's why it's not sticking. I didn't take off the back of my double-sided tape. There we are. That's better. Just put the top back on my glue before it dries. So again, I don't want to pull it too much now because it hasn't had a chance to dry. But what that does is it'll open, and then when you close them together, you just bring it together and hold it shut. So it's a very nice, neat idea. Thank you, Tamara Morton, for that idea. So again, if you wanted to, you could make this into your regular albums, just like any of the wallets really. So this could be a drop-in into one of the pockets you've made, or equally, you could just stick it onto a page like that or like that and have some interaction in your album. So thanks for coming back and watching another of my wallet tutorials. If you like this paper or you want some other Stamperia paper, head over to Intercraft. And if you do have a go at this, please share your version with me in my Facebook group, which is called Paper Crafting with Paul. I'll add a link in the description as well, and a link to the shop and a cutting guide as well. So if there's anything you want to check, just have a look down there. So thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see what your memory boxes look like. See you again soon.